Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Triforce podcast. That's right, it's me and Lewis and Flax, and we're back. Boy, are we feisty today, I think. How's it going, chaps?
I've got a question for you guys. All right. When I was trying to get to sleep last night, and I was imagining. I've been watching a few sort of older movies lately in my spare time, and one of the ones I watched. I love this film, The Andromeda Strain. Have you seen it?
I've never seen the movie, but I read the book.
So the book's really good, of course.
When I was young, yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Michael Crichton, I think.
Yeah.
So the film is a classic of this sort of the era. It's quite slow, it's quite sort of methodical, but then it ramps up the drama as it goes on. It's well worth a watch, but the whole point is that this satellite returns to Earth and it's got something mysterious on it. They think it might be some kind of disease, and it wipes out this town. That's how the film opens, that's how the book opens, with them seeing this town, everyone's dead apart from two people. So it's like a nice little mystery, a sort of science mystery thing.
Yes.
But my favorite bit is when he's introducing them to the facility, where he's like, this is level 4, where we eat and dine, and of course everything is completely sterile, and he's sort of running them through this perfectly planned sort of virus facility where it's got like a nuclear bomb underneath, so that if the virus is about to get out, they can blow it up. Like, it's all this kind of setup that you can tell Michael Crichton sat down and penned out, if I was designing some kind of potentially deadly space virus facility, what would it look like?
Okay.
Yeah. So I was thinking, what if there was like some kind of safe haven underground that we were designing that would ensure the future of humanity should some catastrophe be about to strike? There might even be something like this already, but I was just imagining.
They have a couple of them in the US, right? They've got some like underground bunkers. Facilities for the president and the high ups to retreat to in case of a nuclear war, because
of course.
A big thing, especially during the Cold War, was the continuity of the government throughout. Right? They needed to survive a nuclear war and then rebuild afterwards, and make sure that they rebuild faster than the Soviets. And so I think though they do exist. There's a bunch of them. I don't know how
big can they be, is my point. So I'm thinking, I'm sure they have got all these bunkers. I'm pretty sure one of them is like in a mountain or something like that.
Yes.
So I'm saying we'll need more than that, because we're going to need to preserve more
how many people are you looking to save?
Well, this is what I'm saying. We need to plan this. So
I think they only wanted to save about 10 people. They're really important people. Yeah,
just 10 guys.
They're not concerned with saving millions. I think they just sort of said we probably need about 20 important people to keep the whole thing running.
And 19 Victoria's Secret models. I think
that's right. Yeah, that's how we're gonna. That's how we're gonna reproduce post nuclear war. I am going to have sex with every one of those models multiple times over the course of many years.
It's very Doctor Strangelove, isn't it?
That's not actually good though. It has to be like minimum like 50 individuals to repopulate.
Right.
Yeah. You need two. You need two rams as well, right?
2 rams.
You need 2 rams, and and then you'd probably need to do some. You might need to do some ball cutting off of and stuff with the babies.
Talking about?
Well, because you don't want them like having sex with their sisters and stuff as well. Like if it's going to be a weird society. They're not going to have a lot of. Well, I suppose they will have way more time to explain why it's not good to have sex with your sister, I guess. Because they got nothing else to do down there. After, you know what I mean? So like maybe it's not such a concern.
Why do we need rams? I'm sorry. Who are we trying to repopulate?
I think he's saying that you just need 2 men to repopulate in a whole bunch of women. Like.
Yes.
I don't think that's how it works. Good. No. I
think it'd be fine. I could run the numbers. I think it would work out.
I think if you had even if you had 500 women and you didn't fuck each other, I think the genetic inbreeding would be out of control.
Because essentially every child is going to be a cousin, right? Or a stepbrother or a stepsister.
Everyone's a cousin forever.
Yeah. So whatever genetic problems you've got, the 2 rams, you are automatically handing down to every future generation. So you need an equal number of men and women, and you need genetically diverse. So you want people from all over the world. So here was my question, right? Let's imagine that we build this underground haven, and let's imagine that we find some huge cave underground, huge system of caves, and we sort of smooth it all out. We put support structures in. It's in an area with low tectonic activity, so it's very unlikely there's going to be like earthquakes or anything like that. Like 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance.
Right.
It's stable and secure structurally. We're going to have elevator shafts leading back up to the surface, but it's going to be very, very controlled about who can go up there and stuff like that. Because I watched Silo, and in Silo, it's kind of like a shitty end of this, like where the Silo sucks. Like it's awful. But I'm thinking, how could we design one that would actually be good? And I was thinking that the biggest problem you're going to have, let's say we can get the structure, we can get water from underground springs that are all uncontaminated. We've got ways to grow food down there. For a start, everyone's going to have to move to a plant-based diet because we can't afford the space for animals and raising livestock and stuff like that.
Maybe this is how we convince him, Lewis. Maybe this is how we get him around.
Yeah, just a little apocalypse, and you're right. I'm on the vegetarian train. But I'm thinking if there's water areas, we could potentially have fish and other sort of aquatic things down there that we could eat. So we might be able to have fish farms and things like that. We've solved light. We've got ultraviolet lights or whatever to replicate the sun, so we can grow plants. We have geothermal power, all of those things. But do you guys think, I was thinking about skill sets and like skills.
Right.
We've got all these people. We get the very best doctors, the very best engineers, the very best scientists and computer technicians and all of these things, mechanics, everything to keep everything running. If you have a sort of distribution curve of all the doctors in the world, say, and you get the best few, you're only ever going to get worse, aren't you, when it comes to skills? So
in future.
Yeah. So my concern is that the population spread that we get in the early years might well be really functional and amazing, and everybody's brilliant at what they do. And, you get good personality types. So maybe the best doctor in the world is a bit of a dick. So you get the second best, who's a really, good guy. And you're like, all right, cool. So we balance this out. But the next generation of doctors and mechanics and all the rest of it, you're just going to have to hope that they're going to be as good as these ones. And if they're not, then you've got the middle of the pack. By definition, they're going to be average.
Over time, it'll get progressively worse as the inbreeding intensifies.
I think we're gonna counter the inbreeding. We're gonna say that we have a very careful
I don't know
system.
if you can actually. I think
you could. You'd have to.
I think the whole
people.
thing is doomed. I think it's like a slow ticking time bomb of inbreds down there.
There's a thing called the minimal viable population, and that says that but you need about 500 individuals to stop genetic drift. Anyway, I think what you're talking about here is very similar to the idea of like a generation ship going off to colonize another solar system or something.
Full of Mormons.
Like what's the exactly? Yeah, like the idea as well is like I don't think it's very hard to tell who the best doctor is, right, or the best at something is, right, because people are limited by their own ability.
That's got to be Dr. Dre, right? He's got to be the best doctor.
I think we have this misidea in that people are inherently better than others. It really does depend, doesn't it, on situations and luck. And I think if you got the best doctor, I doubt that would make more than a 10% difference based off like an average doctor, to his performance, if you like, or keeping people alive. But you don't really need that in this situation. You just need people to survive long enough to have reproduced and and not have the whole thing fall apart. Like, like obviously living in space is going to fuck you up in a number of ways. You're going to get all the cosmic rays and you're going to be in zero gravity, or who knows what you're going to be, eating weird shit. You're not going to be getting, even UV light won't give you the same experience as living on Earth. You probably won't live as long, or you'll die earlier in space. But does that matter if you die 5 years earlier? Like, you don't live to 80? Like, probably not. Like, I think there's the whole it's a whole can of worms and a whole overly complicated nightmare.
So, but we need to create this balance. This We've got 10,000 years until we.
You'd have to preserve the knowledge that exists on the internet as well.
So you have huge knowledge bases. Like we there's a lot of information. You save everything that you can.
Yeah.
The seed bank. I think it's in Norway. That seed bank that they've got. It's, believe it or not, it's for plant seed. It's not a sperm bank. It's like seeds. You have that. Yeah. You have one of those secure. So as much stuff as we can get from the surface that we're going to need later, we stuff it down underground. We're going to lose almost all animal life.
Well, the other thing we're going to lose is almost all our ability to create things. The reason why we have such powerful computers and such good knowledge and such things that let us have this modern life is because there's so many of us and so diverse and so much economies of scale, so many things being done on this huge scale. If you had to go back and make your own food, for example, if you had to make your own food in your garden, you'd make a lot less food, right? Overall,
you would,
than if a company was doing it. And it's that same idea for technology. You're never going to be able to, with your 500 people in the Fallout bunker, recreate an iPhone, right? That's just not going to happen. Right?
No, we are spoiled for resource up here as well, right?
It's for almost everything. Like even like steel, you might not have the space to make because that's made in such a huge, these huge spaces, these huge factories using huge amounts of resources like limestone and things.
Exactly.
Like,
food production itself, I think people underestimate the scale required. Even for 500 people would be enormous. You'd have to grow and maintain so much food, and there'd be no margin for error either. You'd have to really be spot on with it. Like, I think people kind of think, yeah, that's important, but like they automatically, when they're talking about this kind of stuff, they're like, how are we going to make smartphones while we're down there? It's like, well, you're not. You're going to be struggling to eat, and you'll die within like 5 years probably.
Well, it
like
depends,
you're not
though,
going to
doesn't
do
it?
anything fun down there. It'll be really miserable.
You've got to understand, like, maybe it's been set up so there's way more food being grown than there are people, and that could be a good setup. But if you let uncontrolled population growth, it will grow to the size that can be fed. Right? That is how things work. Like everything that we have around us. I was thinking about this week, and I don't know how true it is, but I feel like everything around us is a product of evolution and the taking the path of least resistance. Everything we see around us is largely due to people just doing the easiest thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've created convenience over a very long period of time, right? So that we don't have to do all the hard stuff anymore, right? Like in modern life, I mean, we don't really know how to do anything. We take pretty much everything for granted, right? Like the fact that everything just works and that we're able to order food to our house whenever we want to and do all these things and stuff.
Well, we've just become
just wouldn't have a clue.
It's not like when you say we, you mean me, you, and
normal
people. But it does apply to everyone.
People from the West. Yeah.
Because obviously there are people who actually have specialized and do make these things happen. There are very, very smart people. I'm not saying there are
we're getting
very
them.
smart
we're
people.
Not sending it. We're not getting in. Like, I'm not being funny. We ain't getting in, lads.
Yeah. Well, what if they want somebody? What if they need some? They need to watch 8 hours of Farming Simulator every day, though. I feel like I would be good in that.
What if they need someone who knows about all the 80s sci-fi movies?
Yeah, true. Yeah, you might. They might want to do a pub quiz down there, and
there might be some. Maybe
they might regret not taking us in.
Maybe the aliens would be listening to all the transmissions from the 60s and 70s, and your knowledge of cinema, Flax, is exactly what we need to communicate with them.
I
all
think
the references.
It's possible, but I might be on the controversial list given my my film viewing at the weekend. I saw Poor Things.
Poor Things.
It's it had Emma Stone and Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo.
Right.
And it's directed by the guy who directed The Favourite. If you've seen that, that's a really good
film
with Olivia Colman in.
Right.
Have you been watching the flipping award-winning movies? Because I also saw you saw the other one, the French one.
Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah.
So Anatomy of a Fall is superb. It's a really, really good film. Very simple setup.
Is this because of the BAFTAs? Are you
no.
like Oscar season?
Mrs. F was like, "Do you want to watch this film, Anatomy of a Fall? It's meant to be good." And I was like, "Sure." For Poor Things, Mrs. F was like, "Do you want to come to the Everyman Cinema at the weekend? Just we'll leave the kids with someone and we'll go to the movies." I was like, "Hell yeah!" And the Everyman Cinemas, this was down in Esher, so just south of me. It's instead of being regular cinema seating, it's like big sofas. So you're sitting with the person you go with, like on a little sofa.
Right.
You've got enough room to stretch your legs out fully in front of you, a little footrest, and there's table service.
Wow.
Yeah, two-man sofas. It's a cinema full of two-man sofas, where there's a couple of single seats as well.
This sounds great.
It's amazing.
They will bring you beer and chips.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have burger and stuff.
Yeah, so you can get food and all the rest of it.
I like that.
The table service seems to be only before the film starts, but then after that, you can slide out and get a couple of beers and come back. Like it's really, and it's so wide, you're not like people having to stand up and shit. You can just scuttle out.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Really, really nice. Good screen, good sound, very comfy. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Really good cinemas. And also just nice inside. It kind of has it's got like a bar at the front, so you could just chill there after the movie and have a couple of drinks or meet up there before. Like, it's really, really good.
It's got like a low lighting chic vibe.
Yeah, very low lighting.
It's well done. There's one in Bristol, and I recently to see the new Ghibli movie.
Oh yeah,
Studio Ghibli.
Okay, I thought it was okay.
Which was typical Ghibli movie of feels like a normal movie. Wasn't quite sure where it was going because it's called The Boy and the Heron. Wasn't sure where it was going, but then it turned into.
I saw the ads for that one. Yeah,
it turned into a typical thing,
right?
Because
yeah, but it does and it doesn't. So I felt like the first.
I don't want to spoil it.
No. It's very long and slow, and then they introduce this classic Ghibli world, but in a way that, to me, when I watch Spirited Away, I feel like we're getting into the interesting part quite early on. I felt like The Boy and the Heron was extremely slow, and I thought it was going to be a different kind of movie.
Me too.
But instead, it's suddenly it's almost like it's going to be something interesting, slow but interesting, and then it just falls face first into regular old Ghibli. But it's like they've tried to squeeze that entire film into just the second half of this film.
That's what it felt like. So I didn't know what I was going into at all. And I thought it was going to be, because this starts off and there's quite a lot of little references to the war going on.
Yeah.
You know, I thought we were going to have a Grave of the Fireflies situation. It was going to be a real sad one. But no, it just immediately sort of goes into the dream world.
Let's just do all the fantasy shit. But instead, it's like he continually meets characters and then they're discarded. Meets a character discarded. Meets a character discarded. And it sort of sets up all this stuff with like one sentence now. Now we have to go through this door. Like it's one of those films where the rules, if you like, of the universe are laid out to you for like
at the time,
a second at a time, and then we move on, and that doesn't matter anymore. So it's like, don't look back or you'll turn into a goblin too. Don't touch the tomatoes or you'll have to fly. You know, it's like this kind of just exactly word salad of rules. And then there's characters in it played by like quite big name actors who seem to have like 2 or 3 lines. And everyone's acting like, oh my God, it's so-and-so. They're so important. But as an audience member, you're like, we just met this guy. Like, how am I meant to fucking know anything about the King of the Budgies when we just met 2 seconds ago?
So the King of the Budgies is Dave Bautista.
I feel like I'm on drugs right now.
I know, that's what it feels like.
But Dave Bautista, William Dafoe, Florence Pugh, Mark Hamill, Christian Bale, Karen Fukuhara, and Robert Pattinson.
Mark Hamill is a great voice actor. He's really good.
Yeah, it's like a who's who of characters. I constantly was like sat up in my seat. I was like, that can't be Christian Bale. Is that? No. Is it? Okay.
I just felt like it had an interesting-ish setup, but then it just kind of you meet and lose people so fast. You just kind of like, all right, if it's meant to be like that because you're meant to be experiencing the universe the way he is and kind of tumbling through it. Yeah, but I want to see him doing that. But I don't want to be doing that because as an audience member, I need to understand the fucking storyline and not just have it explained to me like, aha, here's something we've never seen before that now you have to deal with this. And now don't worry, it's gone. We're on to the next thing.
I think it's all very dreamlike, a lot of these Ghibli movies, though. They're all very much like they don't make sense and there's no way to explain them. So let's not even try, because if we started to do it, we would, we couldn't be as fantastical and silly as we are. It all does feel very frivolous, and I think that's why I don't like it.
But Spirited Away didn't feel like that, and that's like a really well-rounded.
Yeah, I like Spirited Away. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, like you get who the characters are. The setup is interesting. You feel attachment to the characters because we've known them throughout the film. So you actually get some kind of emotional attachment to these characters rather than just seeing people get emotional attachments because it matters to them, but it needs to matter to the audience as well. Otherwise, what am I watching? It's like if the film opened with someone crying, you'd hope to find out why they're crying. You can't just be attached to someone emoting. You need to be emoting with them. Anyway, so Anatomy of a Fall opens with basically a father is dead in the driveway of his house. That's like the opening of the film.
What,
There's
like
only
on the
3
ground?
people there. Yeah.
He's
So
just like spread eagle dead on the ground of his driveway.
So the son comes back from walking the dog, and there's the dad dead in the driveway.
Right.
And he's beneath a window, like a third story window. That's how the film basically opens. That's how the first minute was too.
Well, so the window's open.
Well, it doesn't matter. All right.
It does matter.
No. It doesn't.
But that's getting too deep into it,
right?
Yeah.
That's the film. There's only the 3 of them there, the son and the mother and the boy. So, court case and all the rest of it.
Right.
But interestingly, I've never seen I didn't watch Spiral, although I will. I didn't know that French courts were so different from like UK courts and American courts. So if you watch, this is like a murder trial essentially in the French courts. They just fucking interrupt each other all the time.
Yeah.
Like it sounds more like a podcast with lawyers than anything else. Yeah. Like if it's not like objection and state your legal objection. It's this no, overruled, ignore that. It's like they'll just chat it.
I'm not surprised because they also don't like to queue, the French. So
there you go.
I'm so surprised that they're not waiting their turn for something. They every one of them thinks that they're the most important person in the entire universe at any given time, and it sounds like that's also true in their court system as well. They just talk because
it's just funny.
I'm
like
talking
the prosecutor
now.
will be going,
I'm just
and the
talking.
the defender will pipe up,
Yeah.
and then the accused will just chime in, and then the judge will have something to say.
Yeah.
And then someone else will pipe up, and no one's saying, hey, one at a time. You can't just yell out.
Yeah.
Like you can just chip in with something. I thought it was really interesting, and they make lots of sarcastic comments.
Nice.
It's a really, really, really good movie.
And is it like true to life from what you can tell? Like by all accounts,
I have
like
no
is
idea.
that kind of what happens? Or because I feel like a lot of like courtroom drama is. It tries to be realistic or whatever, but obviously, like it's such a boring thing, right?
I think
that they have
courtroom
to
drama is
spice
one of
it up.
those things that that folds upon itself. Though people watch it on telly and behave the way they've seen on telly, because they
now
know
they do,
different, right?
It's all.
I think it is one of those things.
Yeah.
It's very people assume it'll be the way they've seen it because that's the only way most people have seen it. I mean, I don't think I've ever been in a courthouse.
No, me neither. I hope to never go in one. I mean, I've been in one, but I've never been to a trial or something. Like
I went to one.
I've never done jury duty or.
I went to one of the Royal Courts of Justice on Fleet Street. You can just go in.
Yeah.
And there's like the public gallery and everything. You got to be quiet when you go in. But you go in and there's all law students in there and reporters. That's pretty much it. And you sit in. It's very formal. Obviously, it's really not dramatic. But like sometimes I think some court cases can be really dramatic. Like, you remember the Oscar Pistorius trial?
Yeah.
That trial was like on the internet. I watched the live stream of that a lot. I was really into it, and it was very dramatic. They did lots of recreations. There was lots of testimony from him where they're absolutely destroying his argument. He's trying to defend himself desperately. He keeps breaking down, and they have to keep stopping. And you become more and more aware that you're pretty sure that he's guilty. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching, I'm thinking, there's no fucking way that this guy's story adds up. It was genuinely gripping, but it was obviously much longer than the trials they have in a movie because you don't want to watch 8 hours of testimony in a film. But there were definitely dramatic moments in that. I think there are absolutely. I mean, do you remember the trial they had recently where that guy drove a car into people and then defended himself in court? That guy?
I remember hearing about it, but I don't know any of the details around his defense.
I can't remember his name. But that is a very interesting. That was
near
like,
Westminster, right on the bridge.
No. This is in America.
In America.
Because remember, we don't have televised trials over here. Like
no,
there's no cameras or recording in the courtroom in the UK, to the best of my knowledge. But whereas in America, they often have trials where there's cameras there and everything.
I mean the recent one obviously was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard one. That was all over the place. There were clips from that on TikTok and everything.
The Gwyneth Paltrow trial, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed watching that. That was a good watch.
OJ.
OJ, of course, the original.
So what's Spiral?
OJ, yeah.
Spiral is a French like spy thriller series. So
it's a TV series.
Yeah,
okay.
but has a lot of court stuff in that. But yeah, Mrs. F is always recommending that to me, and I just haven't got around to it yet.
Well,
But,
I
so-
would like to recommend to you right now the new
Go on.
season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which started.
Oh, is it
And,
good?
There's one episode out, and it's hilarious. Yeah, it's really good. First episode's
Good.
really good. It
Cool.
continues
I love
on
Curb.
from the
I've
last
watched all of it.
season.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the last season, but he gets with the woman who's on the council because he wants her to remove the
yes.
ruling where they need a fence around the pool because the guy drowns in his pool. He doesn't have a fence up, and he's going to get fined and taken to court and stuff. So
He's gonna get
he's
sued.
still with her. And just like the story kind of continues on from there. It's good. It is good.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of the aftermath of his show, was it Young Larry or whatever, the show he's working on, and he has
Yes.
that the girl that he needs to get her in as the star of the show for a favor, but she's
yeah.
she's awful.
She's terrible. Yeah.
Yes, she's still in it as well. It's good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Those were the two strange plot threads from the last season.
Yeah.
which is
They
good.
sort of continue on in this one, but
It's
this
a
is
very
this is it.
strange
This is the final
setup.
season. They're done after
Yeah.
this. So-
Well, they said that so many times, but yeah, I mean, the way it's filmed is so odd as well. And generally, you know how it's like basically they don't have scripts. They
Yeah,
have
no
like an
script.
outline
Yeah.
of what happens in each scene, and then they just fucking go at it, and that just makes it feel so different to everything else.
Yeah.
It's very
on-
realistic.
It's
on
nice.
television.
Yeah,
Like it's comedy that at no point there you can actually see the moments where it's scripted. Like there's obviously moments where he's like, I have to say this, and then everything goes from there.
yeah.
And I'm sure they have some. I mean, I know they say it's not scripted, but there are definitely some lines that you think that sort of like was written. And it's almost like you can feel it because the rest of it feels so natural. Which that is my only problem with it is sometimes it feels so realistic that it just makes me want to curl up into a ball. Like it's just so agonizing.
Yeah.
Um,
At times
but,
it is. Yeah.
I feel it's easier to watch it second time around
Yeah.
because you know what's coming. You don't cringe quite as hard.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty. But Poor Things was the film I watched in the Everyman, and I hated it. It might be one of the most hated films I've ever seen. I despised it. I wanted to leave after
wow.
about 15 minutes. It's incredibly well received. Everybody loves it. Some people hate it. I'm in that group.
You're in the hater group.
I'm in the hate group. I was trying to enjoy it. I was really trying. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It was
So
one of the
Poor-
worst
Poor
films I've ever
Things,
seen. Poor Things. Hated it.
Everyman.
Yeah.
But you like the Everyman experience.
Oh yeah, the cinema's great. I was like, man, I would love to have seen any other film here. But this
Hasn't
one-
this
Except
movie
for the
won
movie
like
Poor
multiple
Things.
awards?
I'm sure it has. I mean, all the critics are like, oh, it's one of the best films ever made. Blah blah blah. They're wetting themselves about it. I hated it. I
Well,
absolutely hated it.
this is how I feel about all the Charlie Kaufman movies.
Oh, he's
um,
fucking lads up his ass. A lot of these directors are just up their ass.
It's-
They're obsessed with themselves. I think they're obsessed. Every shot that they can do, they do it, whether it needs to be done or not. They explore ideas that are not worth exploring. If a character's just pops into their brain, it must be brilliant. So let's put it on screen. I just fucking hate it. It's egotistical.
I'm not fussy about movies and TV shows generally. As long as it holds my attention, I'll watch it. I'll watch fucking Storage Wars and Antiques Roadshow and God, you name it, right? I'll watch any old shit. And but some of this stuff, like I step back from it. Like basically some of these movies, if I find I'm pausing it all the time, that's a really bad sign. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if and I kind of hate going to the cinema if it's not a movie that I know I'm gonna like because I can't fucking pause it. It feels like I'm trapped in a tortuous hell. Do you know what I mean? At least with a movie that's on telly that I can just turn it off and go away and never come back to it. Like a lot of things on Netflix that I've just never come back to. Because they're like just bad. There's so much crap on Netflix.
There
Oh
is
my
so
God,
much crap.
you know.
This is perfect for me to
Segue into crap.
to segue into my.
Is it about your toilet or is it about The Apprentice?
It's The Apprentice. I was going to give you guys an update. It started
okay.
last week. I watched it. Reluctantly
You said you
watched
weren't
it.
gonna.
I did not want to.
We live in this cyclical podcast world where I can now predict what we're going to talk about.
Okay, well, listen. Can I just give you the update on the first person that was fired from The Apprentice? This is a.
So let me
This is a belter.
preface this by saying that The Apprentice, I read a thing this week that said that The Apprentice casting team are deliberately recruiting people who have no desire to be an influencer.
Right.
That is like a big part of their casting process.
Right.
They apparently very carefully choose people who are not going to be
ripping it up on social media.
Don't have that
beyond
mindset,
the show.
right?
Yeah, right. So they're getting like people who are serious about business. They are concentrating only on
but
business.
Also stupid.
And then because like I think they hit the mark really well both times. The guy that got fired last week, it was weird because the first task was the corporate event task, which is usually like one of the last tasks.
What does that mean?
They have to put on a corporate event, so they have to price up a corporate event.
Sorry,
A corporate event.
They have two companies lined up, and they're like they want to take 20 people on a day out, basically. And so they're at this like Scottish castle manor thing, and they got to put on activities for it. They got to lay on some food for them.
Lay on
and so they got to pick the food that they're going to serve, but they also have to prepare it as well, which is always a little bit unfair because most of them are so stupid, and none of them seem to be able to prepare food or whatever. So it's always a mess. But this time particularly, there's a whole lead up to it being a huge mess, and the team that lost actually came out under, so they lost 600 pounds, and the team that won made a profit of like 150 pounds or something. Like it was one of the worst ones ever. But basically, the guy that got fired in the end was responsible for getting the pudding ready on his team. So he was, and he's like, I've never like cooked before. What do I do? And the guy's like, just measure out all the stuff. Okay. You have the list in front of you of all the ingredients. All you got to do is get all of that measured out as it says, and just leave it on the side so that we can make it when we're ready to. And he's like, okay, yeah, I can do that. So he goes off, and like 2 seconds later, he's like, chef, I have a question. And the guy runs over. He's like, what is it? We're trying to do this other thing. He's like, yeah, I'm on this one, and it says 1 TBSP salt. Is that the brand of salt or a type of salt or what? And the guy's like, he didn't even respond to him. He was just like, I think he just walked away. But then it came up again in the thing, and he was like, you don't know what a tablespoon is? This guy's like some sales executive or something. Like, I don't know. I guess they just lie about what they do or whatever. But it seemed like really, really bad. And then he got actually good. He got fired.
Good. I love those gaps in knowledge that people have.
It's wild though.
TBSP.
Yeah. He just had no clue, and he's like, oh well, I mean, I've never been in a kitchen before. I was like, well, yeah, that's fine, but like you should still understand. Like
this guy's skipping the steps to become a billionaire.
But most schools even do like a home economics class or something, right? Like, come on.
Once he's a successful CEO, he's not going to need to cook for himself. Why?
Exactly.
This is smart. Do you know what I mean?
Guess.
Like, I think he's done the right thing.
Well, it's not going to happen through the Apprentice because he's the first one fired.
You have to specialize. That's got to be bad, by the way, to be the first one out of the Apprentice.
Yeah, it does. Nobody ever remembers
your name,
you. Yeah,
and they're like, that's what they find out. That's bad.
Nobody really ever remembers you.
Do you know what? I will say this though. At the very least, you're out.
Yeah.
Like the longer you're in the Apprentice, the more people will recognize you and remember you as
a dumbass,
that idiot that was on the Apprentice.
Yes.
If you're out early doors, you're like, well, at least it's over with. I'll be forgotten.
This guy's ruined his chances of being prime minister or being successful now, right? He's ruined it. He's never going to be the CEO of a big company or anything. He's dead. He's dead in business.
He's not. No, he's not.
He is. Like,
he'll be minister for business within a year.
Will be he's a laughing stock.
Oh man.
You'll get a phone call. I understand you're available. We saw you on The Apprentice. I think you'd be fantastic.
Oh shit.
Listen, I know you don't have ever been in a kitchen before, but that's the exact kind of person we need. Come and work for the UK government.
Oh my god, man. So I watched it. I didn't really want to watch it last year. I did not enjoy it.
You did.
And I was like, I kept saying to my wife this year, I'm not watching it. And she's like, come on, it'll be good.
You fucking love this shit.
So I watched it, and now I'll watch it again. I will watch it again. But
that's okay. That's fine. You've got.
Yeah.
I know, again, we talked about this before. I know how you watch TV, and it's basically just you and your wife quipping and ripping the piss out of everything that happens.
Yeah, well, that's
and
fun.
It is a joy.
That is fun, but yeah, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. We do these things. I don't know why I watch I mean, it is kind of fun though.
18 seasons of this thing every year.
Man.
We're just
It is
smashing on.
It is crazy, isn't it? But I mean, I think they got to change up I think they got to get rid of Alan Sugar. Honestly, I think they need somebody else now.
He's become a caricature. Well,
he has,
he's the same age as Larry David.
Fucking hell,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Eh?
Imagine my surprise when I woke up this morning and a box of beer was delivered to my front door. I love beer, get it down me neck, yum, yum, yum. Friends of Beer 52, sent me a crate of beer from around the world. South Korea, Argentina, New Zealand, not that old Zealand. Thank God. I love beer, get it down me neck, yum, yum, yum.
Yum, yum, yum.
So I've been still subscribed to Beer 52 ever since we promoted it previously. If you're interested, you can get a free case of 8 new and exclusive beers from across the world.
Yum.
www.beer52.com/Triforce.
Get it down your neck.
You have to pay $5.95 postage, but you get 8 free beers. It's been really nice. It's always different. It's always interesting. If you don't like dark beer, you can choose the light case, which is what I've got. And they always throw in like a couple of little packs of snacks.
Get the snacks down. Beers and snacks, yum, yum.
Which go down amazing. You get a free copy of the Ferment magazine, which tells you where everything came from, which is also really interesting.
I'll tell you where it went, mate. Down my neck. Yum, yum.
So yeah, beer52.com/Triforce, you get a free case. If you're unsatisfied, you can pause or cancel your subscription at any time. beer52.com/Triforce.
Do it now.
Larry David married a young. How do we feel about this? Now,
we've had
Larry
the age
David,
gap discussion before, haven't we?
Have we?
We've
I'm sure
many
we have.
times.
No, but I'm happy to have it again.
Yeah, sure.
What's up?
Well,
Hit me.
No, it's all right.
No.
It's more like
do it.
You can't.
No, we're
you
not
can't
doing
tease us like this. I don't know this about
if
Larry
a
David.
35-year-old woman, I think she got the best of both worlds. If she's a
35?
fan of Larry David
Is this
and
Ashley
going to be a
Underwood?
billionaire,
Ashley Underwood. Let's have a
Ashley
look.
Underwood.
Oh my goodness.
Ashley
Oh,
Underwood.
she's lovely.
Ashley Underwood is
There's all pictures of her with L. David.
who is Larry David's wife.
All about Ashley Underwood. Well, she's like half his age then, right?
Yeah.
less than, yeah.
Wow.
Is she
Yeah.
what is she's
But that's okay.
she's on IMDb, so she's done stuff. She's
Well,
been
look,
in
she's
she
not
was
some
in
19-year-old
Borat
ingenue.
subsequent movie film apparently. She was
Yeah,
in,
that's how they met.
Where did we come down on this
2020.
before? Because I guess I came down on it on the side of being a little uncomfortable with it.
Uh-huh.
And I think more so if they were deciding to have a child that late. So I think there was wasn't it? There's a few people who were in their 70s having a kid with a 35-year-old woman or whatever.
well, that Al Pacino is like in his 80s, and he had a baby with like a 29-year-old or something.
yes,
recently?
these are
and now
big
they're not
problems.
together anymore as well.
Ugh.
Apparently,
Well, she. But if you get to 35 and you don't know what you want and you don't have your head screwed on, when are you gonna? Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're being taken advantage
Yeah,
of.
she's not.
These
She's
women,
not like
particularly.
I mean, she's an adult. So if she's decided to maybe. I mean, look. Here's the thing. A lot of people just love charming, funny people. So maybe that's the thing. Larry
Exactly.
David is very funny and charming and rich and cool to be around, and they got on well. I mean, that's it.
That's it. That's all it needs. Yeah.
But as I've said, it only ever seems to go this one direction. Much older men with much younger women.
yeah,
Where's
it does.
the,
You never see. You never
When's
see.
Ryan Gosling going to go out with Betty White or something like that? Obviously, rip Betty White, but had she still been alive,
Yeah,
where's that?
yeah.
There is a bit of that.
Go on.
Yeah.
There was a
Like,
storyline
sometimes-
in Emmerdale where a younger man was going for an older woman, but that's the only one I can think of. And I mean, I'm talking like that was maybe 2003, 2004. So
Liz Taylor died in 2011. She was married 7 times.
right.
Her last partner, let me see, she was born in 1932. He was born in 1952. So he was 20 years her junior
Right.
when he married Elizabeth Taylor.
Right. And how old was she at the time when they got married?
So let me see. They got married in 1991.
right. So she
would
was
have
like
been
60.
61?
61, and he was 41.
Something like that. Or 60. No, 59? 59?
She was 59, so he would have been
59.
39, 20 years.
That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
but Liz Taylor, what did she look like at 59? Liz Taylor.
She was gorgeous. She's Elizabeth Taylor. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
So I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
what about Zsa Zsa? Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Yeah, I heard of that
Let's
one.
have a look. So Zsa Zsa Gabor was married 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. She
Good
died
Lord.
in 2016, aged 99.
wow.
9 times, actually.
What did I say? 1, 2, 3,
7.
4, 5. Oh, some of them don't have a wiki entry. Sorry, 9 times. She was married to a lad called Felipe de Alba. So he was born in 1924. So he was almost as old as she was. Jack Ryan, almost as old as her. George Sanders, he was older. Okay, all right, well, all right. Zsa Zsa Gabor, also not a good.
Well, Rick Owens,
Guess,
though,
yeah.
who's the big fashion guy, he married a lady who was like 20 years older than him. I think he's 60 and she's 80.
Right.
Goodness.
So, yeah, like that is a thing.
It does happen, but
Not
often.
as often as the other way.
They got married 20 years ago when he was 40 and she was 60. So I think, again,
Yeah.
it's a very different dynamic, I guess,
Yeah.
when at different stages of life. You know, the age gap is more pronounced. And it can only, it's hard for someone to, we only live for like 80 years. So in order to go to marry someone half your age, there's a very small window where that's actually possible. You kind of have to be in your 60s.
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, for it not to be super gross.
It is weird though, isn't it? But it just, I don't know, especially like the rich and famous, especially you see it.
I don't mind so
happening a
much
lot,
the
right?
marriage thing, but as much as the kids thing. I think that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I'm not conservative or anything around it, but and people can do their own. I'm sure these people will understand, but it just feels like it's something I wouldn't be comfortable with. I don't want to have a kid and I'm 40, let alone when I'm 70. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of expectations. And maybe if you're mega rich, you're not bringing them up anyway. You just have all the nannies and send them off to boarding school.
I know,
God knows.
that's
I know what
even
I'm
like,
talking
I
about.
feel like if I was mega rich, I'd want to have kids even less, you know, like, because I would just feel like, man, I got all this money, I could do whatever I want. Like, I don't want to do something that's going to prevent me from doing what I want.
I don't want to have a rich kid because then they'll turn out to be a
I
prick.
I feel like if I was like really, really stinking rich.
I want my kids to grow up poor and miserable so they turn out to be nice people.
No, it's not so much that. It's like, I just feel like if I was really, really wealthy, I don't know if I'd have the attitude. Well, knowing what I know now, I don't know if I'd had that attitude about having kids. Maybe I would not have them, you know, because I would just want to enjoy my all my vast amount of money and all the opportunities that it would provide me, you know. Like I wouldn't want to be tied down. I'd want to be like, you know, buy like a penthouse in New York and go there for a week, and then buy a penthouse in like Tokyo and go there for a week. But I wouldn't want to be dragging kids along with me. You know what I mean?
It's so complicated though, isn't it? Because my feelings vary day to day, and my you know, sometimes I wake up and I'm feeling like shit. Other days I wake up and I'm like really happy. You know, I think everyone makes decisions on you know, week to week. They're like, oh, I need to change everything. I need to change my haircut. Oh God, let's have kids. We've got to do it. You know, all this. Do you know what I mean? Like people make these decisions and they have to kind of. It's so complex.
It is.
It
is complex.
Do you want to hear about a simple life?
Yes.
Go on.
This is an article that's trending at the moment. It's gone quite big. Poor old Gregg Wallace did an article called My Saturday.
Gregg Wallace from Gregg's.
No, Gregg Wallace of
Wallace from Inside the Factory and MasterChef and all the other stuff.
So he wrote this article. This is his day. I'll give you some highlights. 5 a.m. I wake up at the same time every morning, right? He wakes up at 5 a.m. He has his coffee, reads his book, checks his emails, and then he looks at the sign-up numbers for his health program, and then he gives a website. Sorry. Greg Davis, can we have a little...
Gregg Wallace, sorry, can we have a little impression of Gregg Wallace, just so people know who we're talking about? Flax.
Battery biscuit bags. That's Gregg Wallace, right?
So 5 a.m.
Yeah, 5 a.m. he's up. 7 a.m. he's at the gym.
Right.
And he lists his workout here. He's down from 17 stone to 12 stone.
Wow.
He's got less than 18% body fat and a six-pack. That's what he lists. This is the article that he wrote.
Right.
10:30, meet my PA Helen at the local Harvester for breakfast. And then he lists the breakfast. And this is my favorite part. I've regularly been disappointed in 3-star Michelin restaurants around Europe, but never in a Harvester.
I'm a British gentleman after our own heart.
Yeah. And then he goes back home for lunch with his wife.
Hang on a second. What
yeah.
time was breakfast?
10:30.
He has-
Mate,
so
he's
he had
just been down the gym.
What did he eat at breakfast? At
He
Harvester?
had bacon sausage fried egg.
Bacon sausage fried. Sorry. So Gregg Wallace, he wakes up at 5 a.m. and checks the numbers on the people who've signed up to his health plan.
Yeah.
Right. Goes to the gym.
Yeah.
Works on his six pack.
Yeah.
Hits Harvester for 10:30.
Yeah.
Right. Eats that sausage and bacon. Barely has it been swallowed. Then he has to eat his lunch at 12.
12. Yeah, 12.
Yeah, but
And
his body's probably craving some carbs at this point, though, right? If he's been working out so hard.
Exactly.
Right, so
But
it's the
there's
sausages,
no carbs.
bacon, egg.
There's no carbs really in bacon, sausage, egg, and mushroom and tomato, which is what it looks
What,
like.
in bread, though? Is it in bread? Or just
No,
it's just a plate.
This is a fry.
He's just having a fry
This is a
up.
plate.
All right.
So
So
then
it's a
he
keto
has
fry
white
up.
bean soup with his wife makes white bean soup and a crust of bread, so just a bit of bread, so not too much.
Right.
Then he spends some time with his son. He has a 4-year-old son who's non-verbally autistic. So this kid is way up there on the spectrum. Spends some time with the kid. And I think spends about maybe an hour and a half with the kid.
So
and
1
then
hour and a
probably
half
10
is all he can
minutes.
take.
yeah.
It's probably
then
realistically 10
3
minutes.
p.m. I'm an amateur historian. I spend 2 hours by myself in my home office playing Total War Saga: Thrones of Britannia. That's it.
Fucking
Wow,
hell.
what?
He
He's
says,
playing,
I prefer
he's a gamer.
turn-based strategy games to fast ones that
I
require
spent
reflex.
2 hours playing Hearts of Iron 4. I like to play
Exactly.
Nazi Germany.
One day we'll win. We're going to conquer the bloody world. Fascism will spread. And beans and toast. And we're going to put a harvester in every city. That's the plan. And then he cooks for the family. And then 8 p.m. he's in bed. So they watch. He says, read or watch a film on my laptop.
We watched The Apprentice.
He's asleep by 9.
Jesus.
That's it. Yeah.
What's dinner? Does it say?
It was fish. He says,
Oh,
I make
so 3 portions of meat.
Yeah.
Oh,
I cook dinner
it's
for the
not
family
actually.
once a week. Grilled fish. Oh, this is once a week.
He only
cooks.
cooks once a week.
Yeah, grilled fish from the fishmonger at the local farm shop. I like bass, sole, or crab to make sandwiches with chips. Never eat takeaways. Make my own healthy cheeseburgers. I only drink twice a week, either for a rugby game or dinner with Anna. I'll start off with a pint, then have a wine, then maybe a whiskey or brandy.
Jesus.
That's it. I've never ever regretted not having a drink. Wow, that's honestly that's decent life advice for anyone. I've never regretted not having a drink. I've definitely regretted having a drink. I think that's a pretty obvious statement, but fair enough.
Why did he feel the
wow.
need to share this?
It's just an article. They were just like, Greg, do you want to write an article for the Telegraph? And he was like, sure.
Do you want to
that's how
write it?
goes.
This is your typical day.
Yeah. My typical day would be so fucking shit to read.
Mine too,
It'd be
man.
so
I don't
fucking
do
shit.
anything. Like, it's crazy.
Wake up 8:30, stumble downstairs and have a coffee. Say hello to the dog. Let's imagine a day where Mrs. F is not working from home, so she's gone into the office. The house is completely empty apart from me, the dog, and the cat. I go upstairs, check my emails, and then play video games from about 9:30 till about 3:30. Then I have a nap. Then I wake
laughing,
up,
but I mean,
play some more video games.
yeah.
And then I'll go downstairs, cook dinner, clean up the kitchen, like do the dishwasher and all the rest of that from the night before, or just from that day. Go back upstairs, play video games from 8 until about midnight, go to sleep. That's my fucking day most days.
Do you know what? People say that dads have no free time, but it's not true once your kids are teenagers.
Oh,
right?
once they're old
It's
enough,
not that
I
don't.
do
It's
nothing.
not that you don't have free time. It's that you're overburdened with just lots of little things that you do not want to do all the time. You
constant
have
chores.
free time, but you learn to sort of weave them in between. You sort of
Oh, I see.
you claw back a lot of
Right.
time, but you still have all these little chores to do. But you just get a good balance of doing the things that you actually want to do, and then doing the things that you don't want to do. And it's just balancing it out, right? And I think after a while, you just get really good at balancing it out. But at first, it's impossible to balance out. And all you feel like you're doing is just these chores, and you don't have any time to do anything. But you slowly do get it back. And then you get to kind of like the point that Flax is at. And you're like, holy shit, I actually do have a lot of free time. Like it's...
I feel personally like it's like having kids is almost like you're on a ship that set sail.
Yeah.
And you feel like like, you think you're going to be the captain early on, but you're not. You're one of the deckhands. You're constantly scrubbing and cleaning the floors. You're constantly chasing after people and repairing leaks in the ship and trying to keep it afloat.
Yeah.
And dealing with people trying to throw themselves overboard. Like, that's your role, is more just like the bosun or something like that. You know, you're literally just in charge of the deck and shit like that. Then gradually, as your kids get older, work your way up the ranks. Once you're the captain, you think, well, I can decide where the ship goes. I can even drop the crew off at islands, fuck off for a bit, come back and pick them up, and they're fine. Like, they've got their own things, and they'll take the little boats and go off and do their own missions and then come back.
Yeah.
But the problem is the captain then has to deal with mutinies, and the mutinies get more and more serious. Because as the kids get older, it stops being, well, a couple of lashes and that'll put it right, the equivalent of the naughty step, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes, I don't have to do what you tell me. How can you possibly make me do anything?
It becomes a French legal drama.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Everyone's got an opinion.
Everyone has to put their own.
They're all
in.
chiming in, and you're guilty until proven innocent. That's the problem. Like, it's seriously much, much harder. The arguments that my kids have now, when they were little, it was like, she hit me, and you very simply settled. Now you go on the naughty step, and then it's like, we don't hit people. We don't hit people. We never, ever hit people. And that's simple. Then it becomes things like, she called me a cunt. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
It's like, all right,
were
first
you
of all,
being a cunt?
yeah, how cunty will you be? It's difficult.
That's such a great dad response.
Yeah.
Well,
And just, they say the most brutal
They
things
do,
to each other.
but,
Because they're both at school now, so they're old enough to know how to fucking fight with words.
you have
And it's
so
like
much
brutal.
sympathy when they're little because you know that they don't really know what they're doing. But then past a certain age, your sympathy just disappears because you're like, you know what you're doing. You've been told not to do this a million times, yet you still do it all the time. And then you expect
Oh my
people
god, I
to
can
be,
feel the dad rage building
you
up.
expect
I am
people to
getting
be
angry.
sympathetic towards you, and we're just not. We're just done. You know, like you're at that point where you're like, fine, just fucking do whatever you want to do, okay? And then if you turn into an arsehole, it's on you because I've done everything I can.
I don't want that. That's the thing is, I'm so desperate for that not to happen.
It's the eternal
but
struggle.
Every fiber of your being is thinking, maybe my kids are just horrible. But they're not. They're just being horrible in that moment.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you tell them off and they're really angry with you and they're yelling at you and they stomp off and slam their door, I remember feeling that way about my parents, where I would stomp off and slam the door and I'd be like, oh, God, I hate them. I wish they were dead. They're the monsters. They're terrible. Oh. The kind of thing that goes through kids' minds because they're rebelling.
Yeah.
They're at that point where they want to rebel. They want to get away.
Yeah.
I've got 2 teenage daughters, and it is all the stereotypes. It is hard.
It's hard because you feel, as a sympathetic person, I sometimes was very upset when, my partner or some of my friends were getting, venting at me and about something that something had gone wrong for them. And I was, I think at some points I was more upset than they were.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think this is a common thing on the internet. I think, sometimes people are or appear to be or are very pissed off or frustrated about something, but telling you about it both takes it off them a little bit and makes you hear about it for the first time.
Exactly.
And so, in a sense, like, they've had time to heal and share this, and they're not as bothered about it anymore because time has gone by for them. But for you, this is a new offense.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you take everything so personally because you love that person so much, or you care about that person. You don't want them to, that's a shit thing that they've experienced. And you might even be more annoyed about it because it might be one of your bugbears more than it is them, right? And so sometimes you can infect people.
You can.
With
It's
your
trauma
rage.
dumping is a thing, right? Like, people do that. I mean, I know you guys probably seen this when you're streaming. Someone will turn up in chat and say, like, just had the worst week of my life, and they'll list all these awful things. And it's like, I get it. People are reaching out sometimes for someone to listen. But essentially, I don't know you, and you don't know me, and you're turning up. And, like, let's say I was just doing some stupid impression of fucking Columbo, and then all of a sudden someone in chat is like, my entire family was wiped out by assassins. You're like, well, fuck. Like, what do you want me to do with that? What am I supposed to do about that and with that? Like,
you should have just stayed in the Columbo roleplay for it. I think you just got to keep it going.
There is one more thing, sir. Your entire family were wiped out by assassins. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know what the fuck you're meant to do.
Man, oh man, oh man.
But if a friend comes to me and is like, look, this terrible thing happened, I need to talk about it with someone, of course you're going to be there, and of course you're going to listen. And
Oh, well,
that's just
absolutely.
human nature. That's part of
Well,
friendship.
I guess the difference between venting and trauma dumping is when you don't care about the other person who's hearing it. I think that then again, you're never going to quite know how. You never know people well enough to. Sometimes you do to gauge what you can tell them
Right.
to not upset them, right? And you should vent. You should let it out and try and talk to people and share your feelings and with your friends because they want to hear you and help you. And don't be scared. I'm not sure. I think trauma dumping is obviously not. I'm not cool with that as a sort of like as if it's a. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I feel like people should be encouraged to share their feelings rather than not share their feelings.
Yeah, we don't want to bottle it up.
Yeah, share your feelings. Don't be scared to be called a trauma dumper or whatever. I'd rather people went the other way than, in general, with me personally. But I feel like this is a very common. God, Sips, what were you gonna say?
Nothing to do with trauma dumping. So if you want to carry on,
okay, sorry, go.
I wanted to change the subject, but I'm happy for you guys to carry on until you're done.
No, change your way. Go for it.
All right. Well, I bought a PlayStation 5 this week.
Yes, I heard.
I had to do I had a brand deal yesterday, and I left it to the last minute to get my PlayStation 4 back up and running, which it hasn't been for about 3 years or something. And I couldn't find any of the cables or anything. I think some of it might have been destroyed in the first flood that I had in the garage. And so I thought, well,
fuck.
I'm going to need a PlayStation 5 at some point anyway, so now's probably a good time to just go up and buy one. So I drove up to the store and bought one. And I bought an extra controller. My son really is, he's like plays Fortnite and all these other games with his friends, and he's quite excited to have a PlayStation because he just plays on Switch, and it's not the same, right? It's like little handheld, and we only have like one TV in the house, so he never gets to play on the TV because his sisters are always watching TV and stuff, and so on and so forth. So I picked up this PlayStation 5, but the interesting part of this story that I wanted to share with you guys was I was having trouble getting it set up for streaming, and I didn't have a lot of time to get it set up for streaming either. I have a capture card that I haven't used for a while, which wasn't working. I was plugging everything in, nothing was working. You could plug the PlayStation directly into your monitor and capture the monitor sometimes, but you won't get the audio. And there's all these like considerations because you're trying to stream a game, and you need to get your audio, the game's audio, the gameplay itself, everything, right? So I just it wasn't working, and I was like, oh fuck, there's got to be an easier way. And so I used remote play. The PlayStation's sitting right next to my computer. I remoted into it, right? I could plug the PlayStation controller into my computer, and it would pick it up and allow me to play the PlayStation 5 within a little Windows window that I could capture in OBS, no problem. All the audio was coming through everything. It was just doing it remotely, even though it was like right next to it. But I just thought it was such a great non-faffy way of getting it up and running.
So you don't need like the Elgato.
You don't need any of it. No, you just remote play. You set up.
Is there any lag?
There wasn't when I was playing. It was fine. It was absolutely fine.
So, for example, I really want to play the new Grand Theft Auto when that comes out in like 2 years or whatever. So I would get the PlayStation 5. Remote play from the PlayStation. By the way, this is not a sponsored segment.
No. All you got to do, you go into the settings on your PlayStation and you enable remote play, and it gives you like a code. So that when you're on your PC and you've got the app open, the app doesn't do anything until you give it a code. And so you give it this code, and then it makes a link between the two devices.
That's amazing.
Remembers them, and then whenever you want, you can activate your PlayStation, even if it's in a cupboard downstairs or something, and away you go. You can remote it right to your PC. You don't need to set up any fucking weird virtual audio cables or anything like that for streaming. It was amazing. It was just working. I was like so worried that I wouldn't have it set up in time, like for the sponsored thing. And then I was just sitting there twiddling my thumbs for like an hour. I had so much time. It took like no time to set up. It was great.
But why did you start half an hour late then?
Because apparently all my privacy settings were set to like Hitler levels, and nobody could friend me or invite me to anything. I did not set any of this, by the way. I don't know why it was like that, but
it's probably for the best.
And then everybody was like, "Oh, granddad can't figure out his PlayStation and stuff." I was like, "No, look, I'm telling you, look, I haven't touched anything, and I'm getting this error message, and nobody could figure it out." And it was just like, it took forever to get going. But once we got going, it was fine.
Oh, well.
And what game were you playing?
We were playing a game called Foam Stars. Imagine Splatoon, but it's called Foam Stars instead.
Yes.
Oh goodness! It seems kind of. It really does look like Splatoon.
Yeah, it takes a lot of inspiration from Splatoon, but it's like a 4-player kind of like arena, like shooter sort of thing. It was pretty fun, actually. It's fun to play with friends. It's good.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
I've been playing Tarkov this wipe a lot. Man,
I have been playing Farming Simulator nonstop for like almost 3 months now.
Good Lord.
Every damn day.
Is there that much to it?
Well, I mean, I've set myself a challenge, so.
What's the challenge?
I got to make $1 billion.
Oh my god! How much have you made?
I don't know if you know of many billionaire farmers in the world, but there's a good reason why there probably aren't any, because there's not a lot of money to be made in farming.
What about that guy J.R. Simplot?
I don't know who that is.
He's the guy.
Did he have economy set to easy mode in Farming Simulator?
Well, he made potatoes for McDonald's.
Right.
To turn into chips. I think
Right.
he was the guy. He died aged 99 in 2008. He was the oldest billionaire.
Wow.
His net worth was 3.6 billion.
Gee.
In 2007. And
That's crazy.
He started off with just like a fucking donkey and a bit of land and grew potatoes.
Well, I have not grown any potatoes. I just planted some sugar beets, though. But they're not
used
quite.
For?
Well, I'm going to cut them up and I'm going to put them into a biogas plant. We're going to ferment them.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm also doing that with corn chaff and grass and cow diarrhea and solid manure as well. And it is making a decent amount of money now.
You're making me want to get back into it.
Oh, you should see my setup. I got all these mods. I got all these like automation mods, so I can basically. It's like playing OpenTTD in Farming Simulator. You can set up all these courses for the tractors. I got all these like loading and unloading areas. I got trucks that can pick up, because I'm harvesting like one of my fields is 39 hectares. It's fucking enormous, and all I do is cut corn chaff in it.
39 hectares. I have no fucking conception of what that means.
Like, I'm talking like 5-6 million liters of chaff, okay? Per harvest. Like, it's insane. I can't even turn it all into silage like fast enough in a year to use it all up. Like, it is insane. But so that side is all scaled up, but then I got to get basically we're turning into an energy company, because I think that's the only way we're going to hit the billion. But it's taken.
Isn't that how Spiff did it? He did solar power, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, that's I could do that. I have enough money to do that, and I could wrap it up and do it quickly. But then you're not doing any farming. Like I want to kind of do it whilst doing some farming.
You want to do proper farming? That's fair.
Yeah. So I've been working at it for like 3 months.
Good Lord.
Oh my god, chat fucking hate me at this point as well. They're just like, this guy's an idiot. He's playing the same fucking stupid game. Like they hate it. They're done. But I'm so weirdly obsessed with it still. Like I can't get enough. It's one of those.
Do you want to quickly do some weird news?
Yeah, I've got it here.
Let's do a couple.
The Supreme Court of Korea. I wonder if they're like the French courts. Probably
North
not.
or South?
South Korea.
Okay.
Right.
Have ruled that a man must serve 1 year and 6 months in prison after he refused the country's mandatory military service.
Yeah.
He had argued that he was a conscientious objector to war, but the court found that because he had played so much PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, he was actually a fan of war and he should have done the military service.
Well, they should have made him do it, but they have to drop him into the enemy zone with no weapons, so he has to find some. He'd be very good at that.
Good grief.
So there you go. The Scottish government have given its support for a national games strategy.
Right.
Apparently, the the Scottish video game market contributes enough to the Scottish economy, £200 million, that they are going to be providing. They're going to be funding games. So there you go. It's Scottish games. Could you imagine?
That's a good. That might be a good move for me. I'm going to move up there and I can get Dude Sim Alaska off the ground finally.
The first game we've come up with is picking up your dole check.
Jesus Christ.
Spending it all on whiskey.
Stretching a penny till it's copper wire. That's game number 2. I love you, Scotland. No hate. Just japes.
Oh, fucking hell.
And then in pop culture, we still don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
The inventor of Bitcoin.
The inventor of Bitcoin.
Right.
A lot of people have claimed it.
Yes, again and again. And there's a trial going on right now in the UK High Court.
Oh, this guy.
Where there's this guy called Gregg, who's an Australian computer scientist. He's on trial because he claims that he is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Big Papa Bitcoin.
I doubt it very much.
Well, if he can claim that he is Satoshi Nakamoto, apparently he could make it illegal for developers to use Bitcoin without his approval.
Right.
The threat of legal action, this would scare off developers and send Bitcoin into obscurity.
Oh, fantastic.
Even further than it already is.
Please do that.
That's
don't you have some Bitcoin, Lewis?
No, never bought a crypto in my life.
Right.
I was gifted 2.5 Bitcoins about.
You were gifted some crypto
8 years ago. Yeah.
Nice.
Somebody tipped me 2 Bitcoins when they were worth 100 quid each.
And
I sold them when they were worth 2,500 each. And then a few months, actually maybe a year or two later, they were worth 25,000 each.
Shit.
Wow.
They're a little bit annoying.
Did you feel like shit?
Didn't you get some Ethereum as well, or buy some Ethereum?
No, my mate said you should buy some Ethereum, and I did, and it did nothing. I sold them to make my money back, and I think I doubled my money, waited a couple of years, and then they were worth a lot of money.
Do you have a stock portfolio, Flax?
Fuck no, dude.
No.
I'm not a gambler. I don't
have any stocks either.
No, me neither.
It's all gambling. I mean, you can put money in long-term steady stuff, but all of this, you can get rich quick. It's all to me, Bitcoin is just a modern pump and dump scheme. And all of this shit, getting the people to buy crypto is just to drive the price up so that you can sell and make money. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I don't see it as any different.
I think but as gamers, we always look for these things. And certainly the bandwagon effect of everyone saying that it's going to go up. Well, all of them buying it makes it go up in the short term. But yeah, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, unless you're going to constantly be gambling away every day.
Well, as a gamer looking for things, I still can't figure out an easy way to make $1 billion in farming simulators. So
you'll figure it out.
I don't think the economy scales like that in this game. It's just tough. It's tough out there.
It's a tough world.
Right, that's enough. We've done a long chat today. I need to get back to Total War. And,
I gotta go eat some.
You gotta go to multiplayer game against Gregg Wallace at 1. So you gotta get prepared for that.
Yeah.
Then a Harvester, which I've never been disappointed in.
Never been disappointed.
Gregg Wallace 2024. Impressive.
Breakfast, specifically the breakfast.
What a champion!
I didn't even know they did that, but.
Speaking of Gregg Wallace, I watched the Inside the Factory episode recently where they make jelly beans. Really good one, by the way. You should watch it.
Really?
Yeah, we'll look that up.
Yeah.
Factory jelly beans. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone.
All right.
Series
We'll
8,
see you next
episode
time.
2.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.